The Bold and the Beautiful, spoiler for the week of February 2 through 6, reveals that Steffi Forrester Finnegan may have a flip-out while Eric Forrester is doomed for drama. There'll also be some romantic catastrophes playing out, so let's discuss what's ahead on B&B. For starters, Dylan will have to decide if she'll follow orders after Ivy Forrester pushes her to leave Los Angeles. Ivy may suggest that if Dylan ever cared about Elektra Forrester at all, she'll get out of town before she creates even bigger issues in Elektra's relationship with Will Spencer. Although Dylan might consider leaving, what's Will going to say about that? Will might stop Dylan and infuriate Ivy in the process. It may not be long until Ivy updates Elektra following her San Francisco trip. Ivy should have quite a story to tell after spying a way too close moment between Will and Dylan. That could lead to Elektra supporting the idea of Dylan leaving town as well. So she may be headed for a major fight with Will. Will RJ Forrester take advantage of this opportunity to comfort Elektra? In the meantime, Steffi could have a fight of her own with Taylor Hayes. It may become obvious to Steffi that Taylor is escalating the situation with Deacon Sharp instead of cutting off contact. Steffi may flip out as a result and scramble to keep Sheila Sharp out of the loop. Unfortunately, Sheila is bound to pick up on some clues at some point. This storyline may head into a new phase if Sheila senses that something's off about Taylor and Deacon's bond. It could lead to Sheila snooping sooner or later with a disastrous outcome. Until then, let's talk about Eric Forrester's big secret. The longer Eric hides the truth from Brooke Logan Forrester and Ridge Forrester, the worse it's going to be when they find out he's designing for Katie Logan Spencer. The Logan and Forrester creations battle will inevitably heat up, so stay tuned to see when Eric's news might leak to Ridge, Brooke, and all the other betrayed Forresters. It may not happen just yet, but you can bet Eric is doomed to stir up some serious drama eventually. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say the week of February 2 to 6 will bring some life-changing decisions and some explosive confrontations. The Bold and the Beautiful spoiler for Wednesday, January 28th, reveal that Ivy Forrester will spot Dylan in Will Spencer's lap, while Brooke Logan Forrester makes an enticing pitch to RJ Forrester. At Brooke's house, it'll be a welcome sight when she sees RJ coming inside after a swim. Brooke will love having RJ around again and will hope he'll be spending more time at Forrester Creations too. Since Ridge Forrester pushed RJ to work with him on Couture, Brooke will support her husband's idea and insist RJ should team up with his father. Brooke will play up how wonderful it'd be for Ridge and RJ to be a father-son design duo, but RJ may continue to wish Eric Forrester could make it 3 generations designing together instead. Of course, Brooke may insist Eric is retired, and that's the way it should be. Since Brooke doesn't know about Eric joining Logan as Katie Logan Spencer's lead designer, she'll feel like it's time for Eric to relax with Donna Logan Forrester. In San Francisco, there'll be more special guest stars for Steffi Forrester Finnegan and Elektra Forrester to interact with. Spencer Pratt will return to the show, but he'll be playing an actual character this time instead of himself. Pratt will make an appearance as Rich, so he may be the buyer who's ready to throw some money around in Wednesday's B&B episode. Ariel D. King will also appear as Harmony during the San Francisco action that's still to come, so stay tuned for updates on her scenes with Elektra and Steffi. Back in Los Angeles, it looks like Hayes Finnegan will start to get a little bored at the beach house. Will and Dylan have been doing their best to entertain Hayes, but he'll still wonder where his dad is since John Finn Finnegan will take longer than anticipated at the hospital. Hayes and Will have already been trying to convince Dylan to dance, so she may finally break down and offer a performance since Finn will be delayed. That performance will turn into a private one for Will after Finn finally picks Hayes up. As for Ivy, she'll decide to check on things at the beach house, perhaps at Elektra's request. By the time Ivy arrives, she'll spy a stunning scene through the window. Due to Dylan's ballet slipper stumble, she'll fall into Will's lap. That'll give Ivy a chance to pop up and witness the intimate-looking moment, so she'll be ready to confront Dylan soon enough. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Ivy will reel over this scandalous news, so don't miss what's in store. In San Francisco, Steffi gets a text from Finn that he's still at the hospital. She feels bad about Hayes given Elektra has issues with Dylan. Elektra assures her it's fine, but her expression is unsettled. 2 buyers show up, with the lady wishing there was something more bohemian on offer. The woman mentions knowing Ivy, and the man pays Steffi enough money for 2 necklaces in hopes that they'll design a diamond-encrusted peace necklace for his gal. After they leave, Electra and Steffi burst out laughing. Steffi's glad they were the last 2 clients. At the beach house, Will and Dylan play with Hayes. Finn calls Dylan and asks if they boy could spend the night with her and Will. He's on speakerphone, so Hayes hears and enthuses about the idea. Will agrees and then tells Hayes he has to go to bed after they disconnect. Hayes asks if he and Miss Dylan will go to bed too. Awkward. After Dylan manages to get the riled-up kid to bed, Will goes on and on about her being good and kind. RJ comes in from the pool, shirtless, and Brooke gushes over her handsome son. After saying she's missed him, she gets right to work on convincing him to design with Ridge. She creepily remarks on how all the girls at work look at him. RJ admits there are some interesting girls there, including Will's girlfriend, Electra. Brooke says Will's very devoted to Electra. She's the only girl for him. In the Forrester showroom, Carter arranged a catered meal for him and Daphne since they had to work late. Sitting, they discuss visiting Paris, amid Carter's gushing. As talk turns to their wedding, Daphne tells him there's only one woman she wants as her maid of honor, Steffi. They toast to the Forrester. She guesses Ridge will be the best man. Carter confirms this and suggests they do the wedding right there. Daphne's not convinced right out of the box, but Carter sells it. She decides it's meant to be. She'd be honored to marry him in the house of Forrester, where it all began. Well, at least they're not getting married in someone's living room. In San Francisco, Steffi takes a call from Finn, who lets her know Hayes is staying the night at Will's. Electra's expression sours. It's not long before Electra's on the phone with Ivy, giving her an update on the situation. Ivy hates it. Dylan shouldn't be spending time alone with Will under any circumstances. Electra tells her aunt she's stressing her out and disconnects. Ivy, who's suddenly a prude, mutters about the arrangement at Will's not being proper. At that very minute at the beach house, Will's telling Dylan he wants to see her dance. She agrees and goes to put on her stuff. Electra and Steffi discuss Dylan being down on her luck, and Ivy's take on the living arrangements, and Steffi assures her that Will is devoted. Plus, she's sure there's nothing to worry about where Dylan's concerned. At that very moment, Dylan enters the beach house in her ballet costume. Will settles in on the sofa, and she starts leaping all over the living room, and right into Will's lap. Ever since Bold and Beautiful had Dylan reappear on the scene and start lusting after Will, we've suspected that there was a lot more to the unhoused co-ed than meets the eye. Now, thanks to a group of imaginative fans on Reddit, we may know how much more. As one viewer suggested, Dylan could well be Diana, aka the long-lost daughter of Sheila and Ridge's biological father, Massimo. If that happened, Historical Use 952 pointed out, it would make Dylan Steffi's aunt, Finn's sister, Ridge's sister. It would be madness. Former external 62952 took the crazy even further, expressing hope for Lisa Yamada's return as Sheila's granddaughter, Luna. Either she and Dylan are enemies since Dylan hit her, or they're allies since they're family. If after Luna held Dylan hostage, and before the co-ed supposedly ran down the murderess, they realized that they were related, they could have staged the accident that left Will's rapist dead for a second time. Luna could have sent Dylan in to keep an eye on things, only to have her co-conspirator fall for the object of her obsession herself. Seriously, though, so far, everybody who has met Will and Electra in their age range has become infatuated with them at virtually first sight. Any way you slice it, though, Bold and Beautiful fans seem to agree it's time to shake things up. The show needs new blood, wrote /man-BD8. Between Dylan, the recast RJ, Deke, and Remy, should he turn back up? We just may be getting it. Carter Walton and Daphne Rose are eager to plan their wedding and set a date on The Bold and the Beautiful. Carter has been trying to get to the altar for nearly a decade now, and has been engaged more times than some on the women on the soap. Is he so desperate to land a wife that he is ignoring some seriously red flags about Daphne Rose? We don't know anything about Carter Walton's future wife on the soap, other than she's a fragrance guru for companies creating perfume lines. As a matter of fact, we don't know anything about Daphne's personal life or her relationship history. What if she already has a husband and forgot to divorce him? The bold and the beautiful showrunner Bradley Bell teased months ago that the writers were going to explore more of Daphne Rose's backstory this year. Bell hinted that someone from Daphne's past was going to pop up in Los Angeles. Now that Daphne is getting married, it makes sense we will get to know more about her. But the person from her past could be coming to town to try to stop the wedding. According to B&B spoilers, Carter Walton is eager to get his fiancée to the altar to say their I do's before she changes her mind like the rest of his exes. While Carter and Daphne are picking out cake and setting a date, they are going to have to start sending out invitations. We have no idea where Daphne is from or who her friends and family are. But if she has a disgruntled ex back home, he's going to hear about her wedding eventually and could come to Los Angeles to find her. Carter is going to pour his heart and soul into his and Daphne's wedding day. It will literally be tragic if he goes through the trouble to plan the perfect wedding, and then Daphne's ex pops up and ruins the big day. Do you think Daphne Rose is hiding anything from her future husband? Could she already be married to someone else? Even worse, is she some sort of gold digger? The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for the upcoming 3 weeks, from January 26th to February 13th, suggest that Hayes Finnegan will face a babysitting challenge. Steffi Forrester Finnegan might also become involved in a cover-up while Sheila Sharp grows suspicious. During the week of January 26th-30th, Steffi may encounter a problem. After she unexpectedly decides to leave town with Electra Forrester, she will suddenly need someone to care for Hayes for a short time. Melissa Dillon will come to the rescue and volunteer, as she will indeed end up taking care of him. The twist is that Will Spencer will join Dillon in looking after Hayes, so they will essentially be babysitting him together. Hayes will create some brown bag puppets with Will and Electra, which may lead him to ask some awkward questions, like why she is staying at the guest house and if they are a couple. Since Electra opposed Dillon having Will's teriyaki chicken, you can be sure she won't approve of this babysitting bonding either. Sadly, the chaos will escalate when Dillon experiences a ballerina mishap while alone with Will later on. Ivy Forrester will watch Will and Dillon through the beach house window, and she'll be taken aback to see Dillon sitting in his lap. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, Steffi and Electra will meet with Dottie and her assistant, Joseph, where they will showcase some jewelry pieces in an attempt to impress them. After Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes finally share a genuine kiss, it could mark the beginning of their secretive escapades during the week of February 6. When Steffi returns home and discovers this, she might become involved in the cover-up, although she will certainly continue to urge Taylor to put an end to this chaos. At some point, Sheila is bound to grow suspicious, which may lead Steffi to dread the worst. Regarding Electra, she is likely to receive some shocking news from Ivy upon her return to Los Angeles. Electra might completely lose her temper with Dillon once she learns about the lap incident that Ivy witnessed. This situation could prompt Electra to take a stand and demand that Dillon vacate Will's guest room. Will may resist the idea of forcing Dillon to live in her car again, but Electra might argue that he deserves it for breaking the rules. Naturally, Electra could also turn against Will and end their relationship if she perceives him as disloyal. Regardless of how things unfold, R.J. Forrester may seize the opportunity presented by the conflict to make his move on Electra. Following this, B&B might finally allow the fashion rivalry storyline to intensify. As the week of February 9-13 approaches, will Ridge Forrester discover the news about Eric Forrester's new position and confront his father with anger? Katie Logan Spencer is overjoyed to have Eric join her team as the lead designer at Logan, but Ridge and Brooke Logan Forrester are bound to be outraged when they hear this update. According to spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Eric will soon find himself needing to defend his actions, but a significant amount of backlash is already starting to build up. Ridge may face his father's wrath after being put out to pasture, even though he meant well. Eric wants to be in charge of his own decisions, not treated like a child. The Bold and the Beautiful's must-watch moments for Thursday, January 29th include Ivy confronting Dillon over what she saw through the windows. Plus, Electra confides her worries over Will and Dillon to Steffi. Brooke and Ridge were happy to have RJ back in Los Angeles. They spent time reconnecting with him and talking through what the future might look like now that he's home. Ivy was the one who brought Elektra to LA, helping her land a job at Forrester Creations. So far, the move has paid off. Elektra is already traveling for work and is currently on a business trip with Steffi. While away, Elektra and Steffi met with Dottie, a longtime friend of Stephanie Forrester, along with her assistant Joseph. The meeting went smoothly, leaving both women optimistic about what comes next. Back in Los Angeles, Dylan crossed one of Elektra's boundaries after Will insisted it wasn't a big deal. The two ended up babysitting Hayes together, and as the day went on, it became clear that Dylan and Will were growing closer. Of course, Finn let Steffi know that he'd left Hayes with Dylan and Will. Elektra found out, and she was on speakerphone when Steffi called to talk to Hayes. Later, Dylan practiced ballet, and she ended up falling on Will on the coach. Ivy happened to be looking in the windows when that happened. The bold and the beautiful recap for Tuesday, January 27th, reveals that Carter Walton and Daphne Rose discussed some baby prep, while Elektra Forrester confessed to Steffi Forrester Finnegan. At Forrester Creations, Carter gushed over Daphne's new scent and thoroughly enjoyed hearing her say that she loved him. As Carter imagined their future together, he thought of Daphne holding their child. Daphne and Carter looked forward to making that future a reality as husband and wife. In San Francisco, Elektra and Steffi were thrilled over how successful the trunk show had been so far. John Finn Finnegan called Steffi from the hospital with updates, so he admitted to leaving Hayes Finnegan with Dylan and Will Spencer due to his emergency. Elektra was clearly rattled over that news. After making puppets at the beach house, Dylan tried to take Hayes up to her room for a snack. Hayes wanted them to stay with Will at the main house, so Will insisted it was fine. Once Elektra called, Will put them all on speakerphone as Hayes piped up loudly. Dylan took the phone off speaker so she could talk to Elektra privately and try to explain. Elektra acted like she understood, but she was rather terse with Dylan as she urged her to put Will back on the phone. Afterward, on Tuesday's B&B episode, Steffi and Elektra showed off a beautiful necklace to a wealthy client named Dottie Bright and her assistant, Joseph. It wasn't long until Dottie decided she was sold. Once Finn messaged to say Hayes was still at the beach house, Elektra confessed Dylan's dinner blunder to Steffi. Steffi assured Elektra that her feelings were valid and felt terrible about the Hayes situation, which was forcing Will and Dylan to spend time together. Elektra insisted that she trusted Will and Dylan, even if she seemed like she still had concerns deep down. Back with Dylan, she opened up to Will a bit about her family and how she didn't want her mom to know she had money troubles. Dylan also mentioned her love of dancing, but she declined to perform when Will and Hayes pushed her to. Since Hayes wished he could see Miss Dylan every day, Will teased the boy about maybe having a little crush on her. Dylan also flashed heart eyes at Will as he played with Hayes nearby. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Will and Dylan's evening together will ultimately take a shocking turn, so stay tuned. On The Bold and the Beautiful, January 27th, Dylan spoke to Will about her situation. She was homeless and living out of her car, but now she's living at Will's beach house. During their conversation, she made a shocking revelation that has us wondering about her family ties. Who is Dylan's mother, and will she eventually join the soap? At the beach house, Will and Dylan watched Hayes. Hayes exclaimed how much he loves Ms. Dylan and wishes that he could spend more time with her. However, their time together quickly ended after Luna's after-school shooting. Will asked Dylan how she became so good with kids. Dylan explained that she grew up with many younger cousins, and she loved seeing innocence through children's eyes. That's when she realized that she wanted to become a teacher. Unfortunately, the cost of tuition and the housing crisis in Los Angeles prevented her from pursuing her dreams. Shockingly, Dylan never told her mother about her situation. Her mom had this idea of the California dream for her daughter. Dylan didn't want to ruin that dream for her mother. This shocking revelation has us wondering about Dylan's biological mother. Does this suggest that she could visit Los Angeles at some point? She might want to visit her daughter and see how her California dream is going. B&B fans already feel that Dylan is someone's long-lost daughter. Since she's been getting a lot of attention lately, she could be related to another character on the show. Fans would like to see the Maroons back on the show, especially after RJ returned to Los Angeles. He admitted to Elektra that they weren't related by blood because of the Marone situation. Some fans noted that Dylan is around the same age as Sheila and Massimo's daughter, Diana. She could have used a nickname to keep a close eye on her mother. No matter who Dylan is related to, she's bound to cause trouble already. Even though she clearly has the hots for Will, she respects her friendship with Elektra. She's even apologized for overstepping her boundaries. But according to this week's B&B preview, Will and Elektra end up getting a little too close. It looks like Dylan trips over Will while performing ballet for him. The two look like they're about to kiss as Ivy peers through the window. The bold and the beautiful actress Ashley Jones is ending January with two big changes. Not only has the star booked a new role, but she's also switched up her appearance. Although Jones is famous to soap fans as Bridget on B&B, the actress has many other roles under her belt. Recently, she has been auditioning for other gigs and was in the running for a big role. However, it required Jones to undergo a transformation. If Jones were to be cast in the part, she would have to dye her hair. Although she was still awaiting word, Jones wasted no time in changing up her hair. The actress shared details of her hair transformation on her Instagram. "I self-taped an audition recently. I'm used to this process, but often it feels like tapes go into the vortex," Jones wrote from the salon chair. "I learned this tape was being sent up the ladder to the network. If I got it, I'd need to dye my hair and be on location quickly. I had a hair appointment, so here we are." "Changing things up," Jones revealed as her hairstylist went to work. Bridget could return to give her dad a checkup or to have a heart-to-heart, where she expresses her worry about his well-being. Until Bridget is needed back at B&B, Jones will be busy with her newest role. Best of luck to the actress on her latest project. In the January 28th episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, Carter planned a romantic dinner date with Daphne. The two have soaked in their engagement, but their relationship didn't start off organically. Daphne was sent by Steffi to break up Hope and Carter. By the way, he still doesn't know their secret. As they make wedding plans, will they set a date? Or will something halt those plans? At Forrester Creations, Carter surprised Daphne with a dinner date. They initially planned to eat at Il Giardino, but Carter suggested they have Parisian food instead, and Daphne agreed. The couple toasted to their engagement, and the conversation shifted to their wedding. Daphne said she wanted women to celebrate her special day. So, it makes sense that Steffi would be her maid of honor. Carter and Daphne toasted to Steffi. What Carter doesn't know is that Steffi hired Daphne to end his relationship with Hope. Their secret is safe, for now. Katie is the only one who knows this, but she's busy building a new fashion house. The happy couple continued to make plans. Carter suggested having their wedding on the runway. Daphne was shocked by his suggestion. Carter understood it wasn't conventional, but fashion brought them together. He believes their romantic connection was organic. But it didn't start off that way. As she looked around the catwalk, Daphne agreed that it was meant to be. She would be honored to get married to Carter in the house of Forrester, where it all began. But their relationship started as a lie. Daphne never told Carter the truth about why she ended up in Los Angeles in the first place, and she's been itching to go back to Paris a few times now. It was previously hinted that Daphne could be keeping a big secret from Carter. This secret could impact their relationship. Most of Carter's previous romances haven't worked out for a myriad of reasons. Normally, he's the one who's in a hurry to walk down the aisle. But something from Daphne's past could prevent him from making a commitment. After all, this is a soap opera. No storyline is without its share of shock and heartbreak. This week on The Bold and the Beautiful, Steffi Forrester will take a sudden interest in Forrester Creations' jewelry department and heads to San Francisco for Ivy's big meeting. Yes, the same meeting that Ivy and Elektra have been preparing for. Elektra Forrester will be thrilled to get a chance to bond with her hero. But what about Aunt Ivy? The Forrester women's rivalry dates all the way back to when they were warring over the Spencer brothers, and Steffi nearly killed Ivy backstage at a fashion show. Obviously, she never intended to hurt her that badly, but the battle lines were clearly drawn. Since Ashley Brewer returned to the soap, she and Steffi have been civil, but it's obvious they will never be friends. According to Bold and Beautiful spoilers, Steffi Forrester's meeting that she took from Ivy is a success. In fact, she and Electra Forrester locked down a massive contract for Forrester Creations. Ivy will have to stand by at the office and watch everyone congratulate Steffi on what should have been her win for FC. Ivy Forrester has been advising her niece Electra since they arrived in Los Angeles. She only spent one day with Steffi, and she was part of a huge deal and will get a hefty promotion because of it. On top of stealing her jewelry thunder, Steffi's going to steal her niece too. Electra is going to be so starstruck by Queen Steffi that she's going to forget all about her aunt, and that's only going to upset Ivy even more. Isn't it about time Ivy took a stand at the office and reminded Steffi that her last name is on the front of the building too? Shouldn't Ivy have a little more say at the office, or at least in the jewelry department? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments down below. And don't forget to keep checking Soap Opera Spies Bold and the Beautiful spoilers right here for more updates. Next week on The Bold and the Beautiful, Electra Forrester is going to be at her wit's end with Will Spencer Jr. and his roomie Ms. Dillon. Electra can't kick Dillon out of Will's apartment though. She's not her landlord. Does Will Spencer have it in him to put Dillon back out on the streets? Keep reading to find out. Bold and Beautiful spoilers coming up. Before Electra Forrester left town, she warned Dillon to stay out of her man's house and in the garage where she belongs. But it doesn't look like the homeless art teacher keeps her word. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers report that Ivy Forrester walks in on Dillon and Will together, and she blows her top. How dare she flirt with her niece's man? In fact, Ivy reportedly tells Dillon to pack her bags and hit the road. Of course, she won't listen. When Electra Forrester returns from San Francisco and gets a report from Aunt Ivy, she and Will Spencer Jr. are going to have a long talk about their relationship. Electra will probably give her boyfriend an ultimatum and tell him that if Dillon doesn't get out of his garage, he can kiss her goodbye. Will Spencer has a bleeding heart? That's how they got in this predicament in the first place. He knows that Dillon has no job, no money, and nowhere to go. Kicking her out of the guest house isn't as cut and dry as Electra thinks it is. Will Spencer wouldn't be able to sleep at night if he thought Dillon was outside sleeping in her car. Is he going to choose the homeless art teacher over his own girlfriend? The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers for Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, reveal a big day for Will and Electra, but not together. Will Spencer tries to make the best of his time without Electra Forrester. She is away for just one night, but at least he has a friend. Will is growing more and more fond of Dillon, but he has no clue how fond Dillon is becoming of him. He also has no clue that Electra ordered Dillon not to spend any time with Will while she was away. Dillon finds it hard to keep that promise when Will is insistent that they hang out more often. Dillon and Will find themselves in a close moment, and of course, someone is lurking outside the window to witness it. Ivy Forrester is sneaking around and sees Will and Dillon together. Does she misunderstand what is going on, or does she understand it quite clearly? She has not been a fan of Will since the drunken incident with Luna Nozawa, so we wouldn't put it past Ivy to tell Electra what she saw right away. Will Electra be able to get back to LA as soon as possible to lay claim to her man? Read this. The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers, Ivy orders Dillon to leave Los Angeles, ASAP, face-off takes stunning turn. It appears that Electra is not even thinking about Will as she enjoys her business trip with Steffi Forrester Finnegan. They have to make the right sales pitch to Dottie Bright and her assistant Joseph. Will they be able to market her jewelry and put Electra's designs on the map? Back home, Electra's latest crush gets grilled by his mother. RJ Forrester has his cousin on his mind. Brooke Logan has Forrester Creations on her mind, so she begs RJ to rejoin the team. Is RJ ready to be a designer again, or does he have something else in mind for his future? On the January 27th, 2026 episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, Carter and Daphne discussed their relationship path, and Electra spiraled as Will and Dillon were forced to spend time together. Steffi was pleased with the start of the trunk show and how well Forrester was doing at the event. Electra felt bad that Ivy was sick, which forced her to miss out on the trip's success. She told Steffi how in awe she was of Steffi working the room. However, the excitement didn't last long, as Finn called. Steffi put Finn on speakerphone, and he explained that he had been called into an emergency surgery. However, he dropped off haze with Will and Dillon, so he believed everything was fine. Electra's smile quickly faded once she realized Will and Dylan were spending time together. Steffi offered to return home, but Finn was certain that Dylan and Will had things covered. The more he spoke, the more tension and anxiety took hold of Electra. Her greatest fears had come to life. All of the insecurity and paranoia that could have been shoved to the wayside was now forced to the forefront of Electra's brain. Her best friend and her boyfriend were far too close for comfort. Steffi and Electra met with wealthy clients, who were impressed by how well prepared the Forresters were. The female client loved the amethyst piece Electra presented to her. After the clients departed, Steffi and Electra toasted to the clients, but Steffi received an alert that Finn was trapped at the hospital. Electra knew that Hayes would be fine in Will and Dylan's care. Steffi picked up on something bothering Electra, and Electra revealed that she asked Dylan to avoid the main house. Although the chicken dinner wasn't anything, and even though it wasn't Dylan's idea, Electra didn't like the idea of Will and Dylan spending alone time together. Steffi validated Electra's feelings, but it worried her that Finn's emergency forced the two to spend time together. At the beach house, Will and Dylan did arts and crafts with Hayes. Dylan tried to excuse herself to respect Electra's wishes, but Will insisted that she stay. He said it was his home, so he got the final say on whose company he kept. Electra called Will, and he told her that there was a surprise guest at the house. She knew that Hayes was there, so Will put her on speaker so Hayes could talk to his mother. Electra told Will that it was sweet how she stepped up to help Steffi and Finn. Dylan took the phone and apologized profusely for violating her order to avoid the main house. Electra insisted that everything was fine, and she asked Dylan to put Will back on the phone. Their conversation didn't last long because Will needed to return to Hayes. Hayes opened up to Will about how much he loved Ms. Dylan and wished he had more time to spend with her. Unfortunately, their time together was cut short after Luna turned his classroom into a crime scene. Dylan's life had never been the same after she was tied up in the closet while gunshots rang out in the living room. Will asked Dylan how she came to be so good with kids. Besides having a lot of cousins growing up, she loved the idea of viewing life through the eyes of innocence. Dylan opened up about the cost of tuition and housing in Los Angeles, but despite her struggles, she didn't want to tell her mother. Her mother wanted this California dream for her, and Dylan feared spoiling it. In the Forrester showroom, Carter and Daphne basked in the glow of their new engagement. Carter was pleased that Daphne wore his ring, and she finally agreed to commit her life to him. Daphne couldn't believe she'd almost taken off for Paris and given up a chance to be with Carter. Daphne was impressed with how confident Carter was about their future. She reminded Carter that he wasn't the first man to propose to her. However, this would be the first time that she accepted. Daphne worried that immersing herself in her feelings for Carter would somehow derail her professional success. Carter and Daphne realized that they wanted the same thing in life. Their desire to start a family superseded all of the potential what-ifs about how things could go wrong, and now they were one step closer to creating that family. It remained to be seen whether or not Carter's current engagement would translate to an actual marriage, or if Daphne would just be the latest name on Carter's endless list of engagements.